Several years ago, when my mom was pregnant with my littlest sister, she and a friend got into a conversation on prenatal testing. My mom had said that she was going to opt out of the prenatal testing, seeing as she was going to love her baby anyway, no matter what any test result of her genetics would show. And why take an optional test if you don't really need to? And the friend agreed, saying, yeah, you know what, you're right. I'm not going to test my baby either. I don't really see the point. And so she and my mom went about their pregnancies without having any prenatal testing done. Well, several months later, my sister was born and she was strong and healthy, and we couldn't be more grateful. However, the friend's baby was born with some serious complications that a prenatal test may have shown, and they may have been able to maybe better prepare for what was to come. My mom felt a deep sense of responsibility and regret due to telling the friend about her belief on prenatal testing, and eventually shared that with the mother of this baby. And the mother had said, no, actually, I'm so grateful you said what you said, because I was able to go through my pregnancy completely stress-free, not worrying about what it was going to be like when she was here. I was so grateful for the time that I had in my pregnancy to just simply not worry. And I think that's a really important thing to talk about when it comes to prenatal testing. So today, if you haven't already guessed, we are talking about prenatal testing. The Pro-Life Action League, an organization I work for, came out with this here flyer about prenatal testing, and we are going to dive into the contents of the flyer and how it applies to the pro-life movement and the abortion industry. So let's go. Now, of course, I want to thank you guys so much for the support and love you have shown me recently on this show. I really appreciate an outlet to kind of share my thoughts and things like that on these really pressing issues, and maybe the more niche issues of the pro-life movement, like prenatal testing. So if you could just leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff to kind of just help boost the show, show your support, and help the algorithm out a little bit would be so helpful. Without further ado, let's get into this new flyer. So this new flyer was made just within the last year at the Pro-Life Action League. I'm really excited about it. My team actually went up to Minneapolis to protest ACOG, American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, I think. We'll fact check that. Anyways, they did a demonstration on prenatal testing, asking ACOG to maybe change the way they go about prenatal testing. Now, it comes to no surprise that a prenatal test can lead to a prenatal diagnosis that can lead to a termination of a pregnancy. It's not to say that prenatal testing inherently is wrong, but that it can lead to the death of a perfectly healthy unborn child, or a child with a disability who also deserves not to die. So I actually haven't read through this entire flyer yet. I'm kind of excited to dive into it. I love passing out literature for the Pro-Life Action League. I'm hoping to actually do a day on this in Milwaukee or Chicago, but I think it's important that I get familiar with this piece of literature as well as share it with you guys. And of course, if you would like to purchase any, the link is below. So starting out, this is called Prenatal Diagnosis, What You Need to Know. I think that that's just a really good, clear, straight to the point kind of, here's what it's about. There's no bias in here. We're just trying to share information with you. I think that handing these out in the streets could be really great because it's just very simple. So in this opening flap here, there are two pictures, and then there is a little blip in the middle here about prenatal diagnosis, kind of an intro. The first little section says, a difficult diagnosis, but you still have choices. I think that's something that's really important to remember, is that just because you have a prenatal diagnosis that is not great, it doesn't mean that suddenly, okay, now you go get an abortion. There are options, there are support groups, there are places and people to go to kind of help you navigate this new form of parenthood. A lot of times news like this is shocking and heartbreaking. This little section in the beginning here, I think, is really important. It says, many assume that the tests are clear, the diagnosis is certain, and the outcome is inevitable. Few are told that these tests may not say what they think that they say. And I think that's such a great introduction to kind of what we're going into here, because we're not against prenatal testing. We're not against prenatal diagnosis, but we want to make sure that the entire thing is understood properly, and that not all tests are absolutely positive. They're not 100% certain. And then if they are 100% certain, there are options and resources for you. Okay, so now that we've looked at the inside portion here, we flip up the flyer. We flip up the flyer just like that, and there's a whole bit of more information. I am loving these little circles here. that kind of just show little snippets. Like the first circle says, thousands of healthy babies have been aborted due to incorrect prenatal diagnosis. That's crazy. That's a crazy statistic. And to have it front and center right here is so helpful. So if you yourself are like, yes, I'm looking for a flyer that explains this all so perfectly, this is for you. And if you're looking for something to just hand out on the streets and make it so simple for people to understand prenatal diagnosis and testing better, this flyer is for you. If you're a PRC, Pregnancy Resource Center, and are looking for things on prenatal testing or diagnosis to share with your clients, this flyer is for you. Now, the point here that says thousands of healthy babies have been aborted due to incorrect prenatal diagnosis, that's crazy. That healthy babies are being killed because of false tests. However, I do want to speak to the babies who do have a prenatal diagnosis and that prenatal diagnosis is true. Of course, there's those stories where it's false and they decided not to abort their baby and their baby is perfectly healthy and it's a miracle. And those stories are important and they are so profound and they mean so much. But I don't want to belittle those with prenatal diagnosis and those with disabilities to say, oh, well, the prenatal diagnosis could be false, so don't abort your baby. It's like, okay, well, even if it's not false, let's not abort your baby. Your baby is still deserving of life. Your baby is still deserving of your love, your care, to be held in their parents' arms, no matter what their life may look like. They deserve those basic values, those basic bits of human dignity. And I believe that we should give every child those bits of human dignity, not just the ones that are perfectly healthy. And I think that this next quote here and the third little bubble explains all of that just so well. I know I just rambled on for like 30 seconds. Maybe it was more than that, I don't know. But this next quote really sums it up. It says, a prenatal diagnosis does not tell you what life will be like for your child after birth. Yes, it could say your baby will have Down syndrome or trisomy 18 or whatever the diagnosis may tell you. It can tell you that, sure, and it could be false, but it cannot tell you what their life will look like. It could say, yeah, you might have these struggles, but your life could still be beautiful. Your life could still be impactful. Your life could still be profound and incredible. A diagnosis, a test, can't show you what it's going to be like. Only we can decide what it's going to be like. Only the parents can decide, you know what, I'm going to take this diagnosis, I'm going to make the absolute best out of it. So outside of those first three bubbles, we have a little section here that say what prenatal tests can and can't tell you. I think this part right here is really interesting. It says false alarms are especially common for younger mothers, for especially when a woman in her early 20s receives a positive result for a condition called trisomy 18. There is actually an 86% chance that the test is wrong. That's crazy. I mean, could you imagine being such a young mom, likely pregnant for the first time, and getting a diagnosis like that only for it to be false? Now, parents often trust these tests. They trust the experts to interpret the results for them. But the heartbreaking truth is that almost every parent whose prenatal test is abnormal will often be offered an abortion, despite the risks of aborting a perfectly healthy baby because of an incorrect screening result. Some parents only learn this after the fact, when their child has already been aborted and it's too late. That part is just absolutely tragic to me. I mean, say it's a new mother. I mean, they said in their 20s. I mean, oftentimes that's when women are pregnant for the first time. And they get this diagnosis and they get told to abort their baby because their life will be too hard with this baby, only to find out that their baby was actually okay once it's too late. Could you imagine the trauma that a woman is put through when that happens to her? Now, of course, accountability needs to be taken place and understanding that we can't just abort our babies, our children. But understanding that a lot of people trust doctors to tell them the truth, to interpret the truth, to interpret tests, and then to give good direction. And sometimes that doesn't always happen, and that's a true tragedy right there. The next thing is the hidden trauma of a prenatal diagnosis. I know I touched on this a little bit, but I think that it's really important. I think that this little section here is incredible. It says the way news is delivered matters. Parents deserve compassion, honesty, and time to make a decision for themselves and their child, not fear or coercion. So kind of going back to that, once they get that prenatal testing result, then to be told, okay, now abort. That's big. You just got told that what you hoped and prayed was a perfectly healthy baby may not be. And then to be told, okay, now go abort this baby. It's better for you. It's better for the baby. It's gonna be better for your future. And to be like, you know what, you can't carry on. You can't continue. That whole event in and of itself is incredibly traumatic. Give her time to think, to pray, to breathe, look into her options, her resources, offer her true, authentic help, and not just a band aid like abortion. The final little section in this flyer is there another option? And I love this little part. It says, support is available to walk with parents on this journey. You deserve to talk to people besides medical personnel who have never cared for these babies after birth. You deserve to know all your options and to be given the chance to meet your child face to face. Now, that is so stinking important, and I want to just emphasize that part even more. It's no diss to medical professionals. We're so grateful for them. Talk to people who have actually gotten a prenatal diagnosis, who got a prenatal diagnosis and it was true, who got a prenatal diagnosis and it was false. Talk to these parents who are actually living it or who lived it, and they may be able to give you the encouragement that you need to get through this. The final section of this little area, I kind of forgot to mention, it has a QR code to more help, and I think that that's so important. We tend to include that in all of our flyers, just so people have a place to go to after they receive the flyers. Okay, before we close out this video, I have a little quiz for you guys. How much do you know about prenatal diagnosis? Number one, do most prenatal tests give definitive results? Option A, yes. Option B, no. The answer? No, they do not always give definitive results. Question number two. What percentage of women under the age of 25 who screen positive for trisomy 18 actually carry an affected baby? Is it A, 86%, B, 57%, C, 32%, or D, 14%? The answer? D, 14%. Question number three. What percentage of parents say they feel traumatized by the way they receive a prenatal diagnosis? A, fewer than half, B, above 75%, C, over 90%, or D, nearly all? The answer? Nearly all. Okay, final question. Question number four. Is abortion the only option after a serious prenatal diagnosis? Option A, yes, and option B, no. The answer is obviously B, no. It is not the only answer. In fact, I don't think it really should be an answer. I think that all children, no matter what their lives may look like, deserve to be loved, nourished, taken care of. They have value and dignity and should be treated as such. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate your support as always. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And if you would like to get a copy of this little flyer here, the link is below. You can also purchase them in bulk. And we will see you soon with another video.